Hey guys, and welcome to Petrol Ped. Now, this week I've got a lot of miles to do, a fair amount of stuff to carry around, and I want to get to wherever I'm going feeling relaxed and refreshed and ready to work. And behind me is a car I think is going to help me do that. Behind me is the Škoda Kodiaq vRS, and it's the 7-seat one as well. Now I think the Indian summer here in the UK is well and truly over. It's been beautiful weather the last couple of weeks, but yeah, it's a bit grotty today. It's actually raining, so apologies for any rain on the lens, but I've got no choice but to get some filming with this done because I head to Wales this afternoon to put this car through its proper paces. Now, very recently, I was out in Berlin, Germany for the world premiere of the brand new Škoda Kodiaq. This isn't the brand new one. Hopefully I'll get to drive that very, very soon. But after that trip, I just thought, I've never spent any time in a Kodiaq, and I really wanted to experience it. So I had a chat with the Skoda press team, and I got this lovely vRS in velvet red metallic. What I would say is I'm not a big red car fan, I'm afraid. In fact, even if I was buying a Ferrari, I wouldn't buy a red one. I'd probably go blue or grey or maybe even yellow. So I'm not a fan of red cars. However, this particular spec with red and then the all blacked out trim, I think looks really, really smart. And then let's get the bad news out of the way. I'm also not a fan of the wheels on this car at all. These Aeroblade wheels, I think they suit an EV much, much better, but I would rather have a more traditional wheel design. I know that that style of wheel is far more aerodynamically efficient, but just give me some proper spokes, please, some proper spokes. But under the bonnet of this vRS, this is the sporty one. This has a 2-litre turbocharged TSI engine. It produces 245 PS. It goes to a 7-speed DSG gearbox and is 4-wheel drive. So for the particularly grotty weather we're going to be having this week, I reckon this is the perfect car. Now, the Kodiaq is the big car in the Skoda range, and it's clearly a large size SUV. But I think it pulls off a really clever trick because, don't get me wrong, it's by no means a small car, but it doesn't look gigantic. It doesn't feel like, I don't know, Range Rover size or something like that, but this is still a 7-seat vehicle. I remember when I had my Discovery, that was a 7-seater, but it was really tall. It was nearly 2 meters tall and it just looked massive. This, it just looks like a jacked up estate car. Styling wise, again, the black and red styling comes around the rear of the car. You've got black badging, you've got a typical vRS look. We'll put that to the test when we're driving a little bit later on. If I just pop the boot, there are some really nice design touches. This is what I love about this Skoda Simply Clever design philosophy. First up, I've got the third row of seats up just to show you, but in here is a false floor. In there is storage for your parcel shelf. It's like a roller blind parcel shelf. So when you've got the third row of seats up, you can still take your parcel shelf with you. You don't need to leave it in the shed. And actually also under there is a spare wheel. None of this tyre foam gunk. If you have a puncture, you can fix it yourself. You've still got to work out where you put the wheel that you take off, but I'll leave that one to you. And then just nice little things. You've got hooks for your shopping bags. It's just a really clever bit of design. Now, let's try the rear third row passenger seat comfort with my nice 6'3" frame. I wonder if I fit in. Okay, I've pulled this seat forward so you can kind of see a little bit better. But basically, to get in the back, you can pull the seat forward like that, and then the whole seat slides forward. Then you climb in, and then pull this seat back. It's not bad. I wouldn't want to do a really long journey in here. And then you've got these go up there to protect you when you're having to brake and stuff. Yeah, it's not bad at all. Dead impressive. Now, let's have a look at normal rear seat passenger room, but certainly the third row of seats, pretty good. And then the normal passenger compartment at the back, loads of room in this. What's really nice as well is there's quite a distance between the seat and the floor, so My legs are kind of nice and parallel with the seat. Sometimes you find your knees are kind of up here a little bit, but loads of room. I can put my feet underneath the driver's seat. The seat's set for me as a driver. And then it has an optional panoramic roof, this car. It's about 1,500 quid option, but well worth that money because it just makes the cabin so lovely and airy. Now, you could get 3 people in here. I think this is probably more comfortable for 2 adults, maybe 3, kids or little people, and then you've got a couple of kids in the back. This is a proper people carrier, but all the action happens in the front because these seats, for a start, are really special. Now then, before I jump in, look at this. You ready? On guard! Yep, there's an umbrella in the door. Now, the only other car I've seen that in is a Rolls Royce. I love that. So there's a little umbrella holster in the door. I think there's one on the passenger side as well, although this model doesn't have an umbrella in it, but I guess you could spec 2. I love that. Very, very cool. Especially on a day like today when it's chucking it down with rain. Oh. So yeah, check out these seats. These are proper special. And I really like them. Kind of got Alcantara, this lovely kind of almost a carbon fiber fabric effect. They've got carbon fiber matte finish on the dash, leather with red stitching. It's a really, really lovely cabin, this. And I can't wait to spend time in it. Sometimes when you've got a long week ahead with lots of driving, you're like, oh, the driving's going to be dull. I honestly can't wait to get going in this car. And all the driving part of this review is basically going to be me with my driving for the rest of the week. Hopefully we'll find some nice roads. Certainly want to put the fuel efficiency figure, because I think Skoda quote 32.5 mpg for this car, which for a big car with the performance it's got, you kind of have to have a compromise somewhere. It'll be interesting to see if we can hit that. Now, the Kodiaq vRS starts from just under £50,000, but this car does have a few options which raises the price a little bit, not scarily. I've mentioned the pan roof, which is £1,800, my bad, sorry about that. The velvet red metallic paint is an optional extra, that's £390. I've got electronically adjustable seats, lane assist, virtual pedal, don't know what that is, find out about that, adaptive cruise control, and a winter pack, which is heated front and rear seats. So all in, the car we're sat in is £30 shy of £54,000, which I guess there's a generation of you probably thinking 54 grand for a Skoda, really? But actually, if you compare it in terms of the size of this car, 7 seats, you talk about the performance and so on, usable performance. Compared with the RS Q8 I had on the channel a couple of weeks ago, 54 grand's a bargain, absolute bargain. So let's go and put all of this tech and all of this comfort to the test. It sounds good as well. Well, we head over to Wales first, then I think it's Shropshire, Birmingham and back again. It's a big old week. Wow. I think I managed to do my filming while it was still dry. It's absolutely atrocious weather. It's like driving through a cloud. Now the only thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put this little drive mode button down here, and I'm going to put it into sport mode because I've got a few bits of nice A and B road to enjoy before I hit the motorway. My journey ahead of me is 199 miles. I think it's 200 miles actually when I started. 4 hours, which is good because I've got to be at the hotel for around 8 o'clock, and at the moment my ETA is 20 to 8. Now, I'm not quite sure how much chatting to you I'm going to do on this particular journey because the light isn't great, the weather isn't great, and I probably need to concentrate. A couple of things I've done, I'm going to use Apple CarPlay and Waze. Now there is a wireless Apple CarPlay in this car, and there is also a wireless charging mat for my phone in this little bit down here in the central console. However, I am using a real cable, and the main reason I'm doing that, although it looks annoying, the main reason I'm doing that is because it's such a long journey. If I put my phone on a wireless charge mat for 4 hours, it's bound to overheat, and I can't be bothered with that happening, so I'm just using a cable. I had one in my bag, I take it with me anyway. My phone's quite low on charge, so it needs a proper charge, and that's that. Anyway, I'm going to crack on. I have reset the trip for this particular journey. Let's see how I get on. Now, I tell you what I do like already is the gearbox calibration in automatic change, but in sport mode, is really good, really intuitive, especially on the way down. It holds the gears longer on the way up, but I'm now in fourth. I'm going to brake into this. It's changed down into third for me. It's holding it in third. I reckon when I come round this right hander, I'm going to go a little bit slower, down into second, and that's the box doing it itself. Reminds me a little bit of the auto box I had in the S4. It just felt really intuitive. It was spooky actually. It kind of changed gear when you wanted to, but before you realised you wanted to, if that makes sense. So if you want to push on a little bit, but you don't want to go all the way into manual override, you can move the stick to the left and go to the paddles. This 7-speed DSG box is super slick, but if you're in the sport mode, gearbox kind of does it for you, and I like that a lot. And the car sounds really good inside. I'm not sure how much of that sound is augmented through the speakers. I imagine a bit of it, because it does sound quite gruff and chunky. Certainly sounds more gruff than 245 PS 4-pot. But I'm not complaining, because it gives a bit of sport and a bit of theatre to the drive, and I'm liking it already. In fact, I've got 4 hours of it ahead. I'm trying not to think about it too much. Slightly unplanned stop, because this car's decided to do something really annoying, and it's lost Apple CarPlay. I was trying to play a podcast, and it was playing the podcast out of the phone, not out of the car, and playing the radio at the same time, which is weird. So I went into audio sources to try and get the audio source to be my phone, and now I can't get Apple CarPlay back again. And I've tried, even though it's raining outside, people, I've even disconnected my phone, turned the car off, turned it back on again. Really, really annoying. And I don't need this, because I'm only like 10 miles into my journey. Anyway, I'm going to crack on and see if I can fix this problem, but not good at all. That's taken me like 10, nearly 15 minutes to work my way through the infotainment system to find the screen to get CarPlay to work again. It's just like, I don't know what I was doing. I can't imagine I'm doing that much wrong, but very, very frustrating. Now, question is, am I going to be able to listen to a podcast without the radio coming on? That's the big question. I've not got any signal. Let me get some signal. Not impressed. Not impressed at all. Anyway, let's get cracking with my journey. Start that again, probably. Metropole Hotel and Spa. Can't abide technology that just stops working for no reason whatsoever. And I'm all steamed up now. It's no good, is it? It's just raining horribly.
Solution seems so difficult.
Hey, it's working! Woo! I've calmed down a bit now. So, anyway, I've got my podcast on. I'm a happy boy. I'm now on a dual carriageway or motorway for the next probably best part of 2.5 to 3 hours. So I'm going to stick on cruise control. I'm going to sit here and then just see if I can massage the MPG figures up a little bit. I've only done 30 miles cross country. I'm averaging 25.8 at the moment. The weather is still absolutely foul. I guess the only thing I would mention is drive mode wise, the little mode selector down there, I've got Eco Comfort, Normal, Sport, and an individual mode and snow mode. Now, hopefully I'm not going to need snow mode, But I have gone into an individual setting, and basically it's like most of these cars, you can change things from normal to sport or comfort, and it's got quite a lot of detail in there. So I'm mostly in sport, apart from the suspension, which is nice and laid back, and hopefully that will make for a nice relaxing journey. I'm now on the M4. It's very nearly dark and the weather is absolutely shocking. There's a huge amount of standing water around, but this car feels so planted. It's 4x4 system, it's bigger size, it just feels really safe and secure in these conditions. It doesn't have the highest ride height and elevated driving position, even though it's a kind of 7-seat SUV. It doesn't really feel like you're driving an SUV. I'm going past a Mini and I don't feel that much higher than a Mini. But it just has this really confidence-inspiring feeling on the road, and these are my least favourite driving conditions. It's, for me, when accidents are most likely to happen. It's dusk, it's going to be dark very soon, there's a lot of water around. Most people, I think, have got headlights on, which is good, but you know, there's people changing lanes and trying to get home, and you know, it's a dangerous time to drive a car and dangerous conditions to drive a car. But this car fills me with confidence, I have to say, and I like it a lot. Anyway, I'm going to concentrate on driving so I don't kill myself. The next time I speak to you probably isn't going to be today because it'll be dark soon, but we do need to find some nice twisty roads, because this is the vRS model. Now you could, you know, just do motorway miles at 70 miles an hour in any Kodiaq, but the vRS model, the fast, the sporty one, you've got to put it round some corners, right? You've got to push on a little bit, have a little bit of fun. So that's what we're going to do, but we're not going to do it today. I'm just going to concentrate and make sure I get to my hotel in one piece, because as I said, it's horrible, absolutely horrible, and I've only got 2 hours and 12 minutes left. Now it's actually 3 days later and I'm not that far from home. Whoa, loads of standing water around here. I've done 450 miles. By the time I get home it'll be close to 500 miles, and I've done that in the grottiest weather imaginable, and this car has stood up to that and protected me throughout. It's been absolutely mega. I've done hours in the driving seat. I've done, you know, those long journeys where, you know, having a comfortable car, having a car that cossets you is important. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. What I haven't done so much of is any kind of tight and twisty, handling oriented roads, and I'm hoping that on my way home we'll get to see a couple of those. MPG wise, by the way, my average MPG over that 450 miles so far is 32.5, which is exactly what Skoda say this car will do. So I think that's brilliant. And I've just sat on a motorway dual carriageway at 70 miles an hour with the cruise control on, and it does that. So let's go and try and find some enjoyable roads. Now, it's safe to say that the Kodiaq is a big old car. I mentioned before about it not being massively high as some big SUVs are, but it has got a higher centre of gravity, so what that means, you know, you tip it into corners, it does have a bit of a roll momentum to it. But it doesn't feel like a big ungainly SUV. It just feels like a fast wagon, basically. It's got that driving characteristic, and I like that a lot. In terms of punch and performance, 245 PS is enough to make it a sporty feeling car, but it's not enough to make it a fast car, and there is a difference. There are times, especially in an overtake, where you put your foot down and you think, oh, I wish I had a little bit more go. But then I guess if you look at all Škoda vRSs, they're always quick, but not ridiculously quick. And I like that, and that's probably where they can sit, that price point can sit. There you go. That's a nice, simple, easy overtake, and it does that with aplomb. It's fantastic. Bizarrely, literally in the space of a mile, I've gone from waterlogged, very wet roads to just a damp one. There's obviously been a bit of a squall back there. Now I'm currently in sport mode, in sport auto change gearbox. I mentioned before, it is very intuitive in terms of changing down and changing up. Sometimes it changes down and hunts a little bit, but on the whole, very good. And what I've tended to do is, as soon as you get on a motorway, you just knock it out of the sport change up into normal mode, and it hangs on, it goes up to sort of 7th, and it's a bit more cruisy in feel. Brakes are good, and now you've just got a really nice feeling car under you, and it's got the performance it needs to give you some fun at the end of a long journey as soon as you hit some nice twisty B road. Hear it changing down there. So what are my final thoughts on the Škoda Kodiaq? All in all, a very, very impressive package. I like it a lot. I like the styling. As I said, I'm not a big red car fan, but the red and black contrast trim on this particular car I think looks really nice. I think it'd look nicer in like a gunmetal grey or a dark blue, something like that. Performance wise, great. Economy wise, for a car of this size, really happy with that. Size on the inside and practicality, amazing. And like all Škodas, it's got some really nice design features. I'm not a fan of the infotainment system at all. I've used Apple CarPlay, but I just find the touch screen a little bit laggy, and sometimes it just kind of gets itself in a real tiz and just decides not to work properly. I had that moment on the way up where Apple CarPlay basically just stopped working, but a couple of times it's just, I don't know, it's just not the best. But if you're using something like Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, then it's not a major problem because you're just using your phone anyway, and I'm using the navigation on my phone rather than the native navigation on the car. Apart from that, yeah, it's quite difficult to pick fault at, to be honest. It's just a really good car. I guess, you know, 54 grand is a lot of money. But actually, when you look at what you get and you look at the build quality and the comfort and the usability and the practicality, actually, in today's market, I know 54 grand is still a shed load of money, but in today's market, I think that's around about the right number. This is the top of the tree in terms of Kodiaq trim level. So if you don't want to spend 50 grand on a base vRS, then don't get the vRS, get a lower spec Kodiaq, and you'll get 80% of the car. But yeah, I like it. I'd love to know what you guys think. Put in the comments below, what do you think of the Škoda Kodiaq? I've certainly enjoyed my time in it. It's looked after me on 3 days or 4 days away of pretty emotional weather, even though we've got some sunshine up there. It looks nice now. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that one. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Comments below are always welcome. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Petrol Ped for plenty more content to come. And I'll see you on the next film, guys. You take care. Drive safe.